Elul came and went, and that was a problem. I wasn't well enough to speak, and I was unable to make note of Rav Zuriel's yurtzeit at the time. I should have, but I couldn't. So now we will. We'll have a little bit of from Otzos or Musser over here about Los's go to do the uniformity of minhag. I never spoke to Rav Zuriel personally about the whole kidneys issue, but there's another fellow here who testifies that Rav Zuriel was sympathetic to the position taken by Rabbi Barchim and his based in already many years ago. And you could see from the passage here that he can understand why he believed it. The rabbi didn't want people to be broken up into many different factions. Factionalism is bad for Am Yisrael. I'll read you something he wrote just a little bit about a minhag on Passover that people have. And he talks about how divisive it is. Here's how it goes. Velote Torah k'shtei Toroth. In Masechah Sota it says that the problem with factionalism in Judaism is that they like two Torahs. These laws apply to them, these laws apply to them, and they're separate groups within Judaism. They all study Torah, but the law applies unequally to them. I remember hearing this as Rabbi Kirschenbaum formulated it. There is but one halacha. There are many different minhagim, but there is but one halacha. So he says, Hava un ayin k'sheyeshit nakshut bein minhag avot minhag hamakom l'sham ha'adam ba. L'sham ha'adam ba. He says, what are you going to do? There's a little bit of a conflict here. There's the practice that a person has inherited from his ancestors, and then there's the practice that he sees, the place where he ends up. Mamehem adif. What takes precedence? Baruch hatov amitiv shezachilu biyamenu l'miksav min kibus galiothenu. Blessed is he who is good and does good, that we have merited in our days to see a little bit of the kibus galiot. That means the ingathering of the exiles. He has a quote: "Mimizrach avi zaracha, from the east I shall bring thy seed. Ubi ma'arav akabesecha, omer la safon teni." I'll bring you in from the west. I'll gather you in from the west. I'll say to the north wind, "Give." U'letheman al tachli. And to the southerly wind, I'll say, "Don't hold back." Havi banaich merachok uvnothayich miksei haaretz. Bring your sons from afar and your daughters from the edge of the earth. Omnam im kol bracha shebechach. However, with all this, the blessing that this involves, ein achaduth be'amenu. There is no unity in our people. Hitasvu ha'gufot velo hitasvu ha'levavot. Yes, the bodies, the people, they have become gathered together, but the spirits have not. Sorry, the minds. The different ways of life between all the different communities according to their points of origin abroad. And let's say the personality, the unique personality of each of these communities. They have become frozen and they have become preserved, with diligence. Rabbi Chaim Yivlozhin, the great Rabbi Chaim, Talmud of the Vilna Gaon, wrote, "Mi peruda minhag nasa perud levavot." From the difference or the distinctions between practice came what? The distinctions between the minds. If I've seen this firsthand a lot, too much. You say, well, those Sephardim, they do things differently. We must be separate from them. As a matter of fact, their whole schools of thought, whole communities dedicated to this very premise. We will try to maintain who we are and not them, only because they are them and we are us. Okay, that's what they do. So that's a problem. Time, for example, when they're reading the Torah in the synagogue, there are those who are standing and there are those who are sitting. Those think that their fellows are slighting the holiness of this commandment. They think their friends are basically violating this percept. If a person believes that he is exempt from this matter, and he still does it, he is basically a fool, or hediot, he's a commoner. Okay? These ones, they eat matzah and water, what you call gebrachs in Yiddish. The Fesach, while their fellows basically avoid eating anything in their house because of that. Okay? What they call no meshing. And, many people consider this actually a sacred minhag. On Passover, just like the rest of minhagim, they're all sacred, so they do not eat out or eat with others. So Rav Zuriel didn't like that. He writes, parenthetically, Davar shahu benigud leruach ma'amar chazal, something that's against the spirit of what the sages said, and what Masechet HaChagigah says in Masechet HaChagigah on the 26th page, Uvishat HaRechel ne'amonim afal truma. When it comes time for the holidays, the Amei Haaretz, not only do they purify themselves, they're also trustworthy regarding truma. Normally you have a problem with, say, like Demai. They don't take out the right miser. But you can trust that they know how to handle their truma, they know how to separate it properly and handle it with purity on the holidays. Why? Mitam beish keish echad hachavirim. Okay, that the Amaretz becomes one of the chavirim. Chavirim are people who know how to keep these halachas. Klomar dafka beit haregel tzrichim hitchabrut halevavot. He says no. Specifically around holiday time, the regel, that's when we need to unite the minds. How great is lechima? It means taking a swig of something because it brings the minds together. If you could get together and have some sponge cake and some wine on the holiday, kosher sponge cake, okay, so we can speak to each other. If there is no withholding from, or it's holding oneself back from eating in the house of friends because of some sort of concern of biblical or rabbinic prohibition, but instead, just my minhag. I didn't eat his food. Why? I have a minhag not to eat his food. It's Passover. I would have eaten his food if it wasn't Passover. Okay? Okay? Basically, he lost his reward through his loss. That's a phrase from the Mishnah, meaning the loss outweighs the gains. What does it say? V'nikur uvisirav ches ben hayudim. Nikur, in this case, nun, dagesh nakaf, vav reish, means making people strangers to each other, from the word nochri, and also creating a wedge between Jews. Yeah. Now there's a lot more to read here. It's just that one I thought was relevant. Rav Zuriel didn't like minhagim that caused divisiveness, or even just this feeling of divisiveness among Jewish people. And I wish he was still with us today. We probably gained something. I'd also like to point out that the whole war only started after he had passed away.